was a nice harmony there at the end of that J Cubs version of the Waxes podcast jingle. Shout out to my man Jake Honoroff. I know he listens to this podcast occasionally. I hope he hears me constantly apologizing for whatever episode that was, that for some reason when I was naming the members of my old band, I fucking neglected to mention him. And I still feel really bad about it. And, you know, he's a good friend. And I feel like I was Mr. Hollywood on that one. Mr. Hollywood Wax. Oh, Hollywood Wax sees his name in lights, but he doesn't see anybody else's name. Just his own name. He sees in lights, blinded by the Hollywood dreams, ambitions, and goals. Forgets where he came from, they say. They don't have to say it because he'll say it himself. Just a big, forgetful mess when it comes to where I came from, the town I grew up in, how I was raised. I actually have a song on my new album that kind of addresses the fact. I think it's gonna be the first song on there. It addresses the fact that, like, the longer I'm out here, like, without family around me, the more of, you know, just the more of a scumbag I become. And I think that's true. I know a lot of other people out here that would agree with me. People that even have heard the song were like, damn, I feel like that too. A lot of people in LA kind of come out here for selfish reasons. You know, I feel like making music isn't completely selfish, because you do help people out. You help people have a good time, and you help people when they're having trouble, because some people listen to your music to get out of it. You know what I mean? But, you know, a lot of it is a selfish endeavor. You're trying to live your dreams. You know, they don't say, people say I moved out here to follow my dreams. Not, you know, well, I don't know how you would do that, say that unselfishly, how you wouldn't say, I moved out here to follow everybody's dreams. I moved out here to make everybody's dreams come true, you know? If you wanted to help others, you would be a teacher or something like that. In the medical profession, maybe. But I guess that not old Wax over here. Welcome back to Wax's podcast. I've been absent from making a podcast for the last 2 weeks. I don't really have an excuse. I will say that I've been working really hard, and that's the truth. I've been in here working in the studio every day, and sometimes I don't want to, you know, interrupt my creative patterns. I don't want to stop the juices from flowing. But there's no excuse. I used to say that the podcast comes first, and why did I let that mantra die, you know? I really let it die, folks. But yeah, I'm here. I'm in the studio. We once again had to move the studio. I don't even know if this might be the first podcast I've recorded in this studio. What happened was, there's this complex in the valley here in California, and it's a new place. And it's just a shitload of studios. Like, most of them are still under construction. And the one that me and Davey had first was on the other side, and it actually shared a wall with a real estate agency. And no matter how soundproof they tried to make the walls, you know, the bass travels through the wall. And, you know, somebody on the other side of that wall has their client in. They're signing the last bit of paperwork to forget their house. And all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. And I can see how it would get annoying. And noise complaints, to anybody that's been following me for a while, noise complaints is something that I'm used to. Luckily, in this case, it wasn't our fault. We moved in here under the assumption that we could do whatever the fuck we want, be as loud as we want. That's the whole reason we pay the rent. So instead of them complaining to us, they would complain to the landlord, and the landlord ended up being like, you know what? I'm just going to move you guys to the other side of the studio. So we got a new studio. We had to move all our shit, and he gave us a bigger spot, a nicer spot, for the same price. So here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Anywho, developments in my life. I've been working on music, almost done my album. I know I was saying it was going to come out in April, but I think realistically it's going to come out in May. I'm going to probably drop some shit in April, though. I'm going to drop a video or two in April. Just right out of fucking nowhere. And it's nowhere to some people, but to the podcast listeners, they'll be expecting it. But yeah, I'm probably going to drop some shit in April. Been working every day. Got some dope shit. Got some dope music, in my opinion. I'm sitting here having fun. You know, it's got a lot of fun shit on this one. Got a lot of just fun music you can party to with your friends or listen to in your college dorm room while you and your newfound buddies are smoking weed with for the first time without your parents. I mean, not smoking weed for the first time without your parents, like as if every other time you'd smoke weed was with your parents. I don't know, maybe that's true. There's got to be a case where that's true somewhere, but you know what I mean? People that go to college, all of a sudden they're living on their own for the first time in the dorm. They never really had the balls to do certain things when they were, locked down with mom and pop. So they just go crazy. And I think some of the songs on my album could be the soundtrack to a person like that's fucking college career. So I don't know. It's cool. It's good shit. At least I think so. Some of these music critics might not think so. We'll see what they have to say. They probably won't say anything because I'm not really the kind of artist that gets music reviews. Critics don't give a fuck about what I'm doing. I kind of have my own lane, and I'm not trying to fucking change the world or nothing like that with my music. But I have my own lane, and I don't get like press, things like that. So people don't be reviewing my shit like that. But I just find it interesting. For some reason recently, I've been reading a few music reviews, and I find it interesting that for the most part, the music critic actually takes music more seriously than the musician who made the music they're reviewing, which I find interesting. I guess it's just, you got to do your job. If that's what your job is, I guess you got to try to do it well. You can't just bullshit it and like write your review like, yeah, man, this new album by Wax, I was having a barbecue and I played it and it seemed like people were enjoying themselves. Like, you can't just do that if you're going to be a critic. I think it's funny how, like, no matter what, I think if you're a music critic and you're listening to an album for the first time or the third time or whatever, maybe the first time you kind of listen to it casually, but by your third listen, you're probably mostly listening for, like, what can I say that's wrong with this? What's negative about this? And that goes for anything. That goes for restaurant critics, movie reviews. And, I guess we're all like that. No matter how good something is, you're going to have to find what's wrong with it. I think that's just how human beings are in a sense, too. We have to find what's wrong with shit and often give our opinion on how they could have fixed it. Just sitting on our fucking couch talking about how somebody who did a bunch of work could have done the work differently. I think that's human nature. I mean, that's how it is. If you ever worked in construction, I used to work at my boy Fraser and my boy Darren, their company. I used to work there for like a year, and they do interior concrete. So, like, if you've ever seen, a lot of modern restaurants and bars have concrete countertops, concrete fireplaces, just concrete fixtures, and that's what we did. It was like high-end shit. So down in San Diego, where this place was, you'd be at these huge mansions, and we're bringing in the fucking countertops, but then also working at the site are the guys doing the floors. Then there's another team, like a subcontracted team that did the cabinets, and there's another one doing the windows, and somebody's doing the patio outside, and it's like, it's just the nature of the construction game that you're like critiquing other people's work. Like, people always be like, I would have done that. I'd have done that a little differently. What was that, 3/8? I would have went with a quarter. Shit like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's natural, just to be critical of other people's work. And obviously it is, because people do really well in the critical world. Although now there's so many websites, like even just hip hop websites alone, that have reviews of albums. Like, I don't really understand the financial aspect behind it. I know they sell advertising on their websites, but like, do they really make enough money to like pay a staff of writers? That seems pretty crazy. I guess most writers are freelance, and they might write for several websites and a printed publication. I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about that world. I could never be a critic. First, A, because I don't think I'd be good at it, and B, because I ain't trying to hate, man. It's kind of the same reason even though I'm a fan of battle rap, like, well, first of all, people always ask me if I would do battle rap. And first of all, you know, I'm kind of like, the reason I got into the whole rapping thing is because I kind of am into the musical aspect of it. Like, I like beats. I like to nod my head and feel the rhythms and whatnot. And nowadays with the acapella battle raps, it's not something that I'm as into. You know, sometimes it starts, especially nowadays when it's literally like 45 minutes to an hour for a battle. It just takes a lot for me to sit through a whole thing like that. Not saying it necessarily would be better if they had beats. I think if they had beats, a lot of people that do it now wouldn't be able to do it, because I've heard some people can't rap to the beat. It's more like a spoken word. I get it. It's a whole different thing. But my point was that another reason I'm not as into battle rap from the perspective of like myself doing it is, you know, I'm not trying to be like, they get mean on there, man. I'm not trying to get as mean as some of them people get. Like, they be saying real specific shit. They be talking about like people's dads that are dead and fucking just making fun of their girlfriends. They research them and shit, and like it's some crazy shit. And I think in general I'm just not mean enough to do it, even though I know it's all in good fun. But I don't know. And once again, like I say on every podcast, it's not like I plan to talk about any of this shit. I'm just kind of rambling, free-spiritedly. I'm free, man. I just do what I want to do. Say what I want to say. It's America. A development in my life. There has been a development, meep zorp, in my life. An interesting development. You know, it's not even interesting, but it's actually life-changing for me. It won't be for you. There's never been anything said on Wax's podcast that will change your life. But this event that took place about a week ago, I can't even say about a week ago anymore without thinking that Bobby Shmurda song is fucking me up. I might have mentioned that on the podcast before, but it's like there's a couple phrases like that, you know, like because that MF Doom song that he starts, there's only one beer left. Like that's a common thing that people say. There's only one beer left. You know, and now, like, you can't even say it without being like, there's only one beer left. Like, that was a terrible impression of MF Doom, but now Bobby Shmurda, with about a week ago, every time I fucking say it, he really has taken ownership, in my mind, of that phrase. Like, every time I say that phrase, I fucking think of Bobby Shmurda now. I'm sure there's other examples of that. Why the fuck was I even talking about that? Oh, the development in my life. So about a month ago, I decided that, you know, my vision is bad. I squint when I look at the computer. I think it's been bad for a long time. I know it's been bad for a long time, but I've really put off, due to laziness, put off trying to do anything to correct it, you know? And about a month ago, I went and got a vision test done at Lens Crafters, and got a prescription for eyeglasses. So about 2 weeks ago, I went to a eyeglass store with my prescription. That's actually not true. I forgot my prescription, and I had to email it to him later. But I picked out a pair of frames, and took them a little while to make the lenses to fit into the frames with my prescription, you know. But about a week ago, I went and picked them up. And initially, I had planned on just using these eyeglasses for the purpose of work. You know, like when I'm sitting behind a desk, which I'm doing every day, and I'm looking at this computer screen and I can't see the font. Well, you wouldn't say font. I mean, I can't see the text, which is in any font that it may be in. You know, I thought I was just going to, like, keep my glasses here in the studio and just kind of put them on when I was working. But let me tell you what. The difference between the way that I used to view the world through my eyes and the way I view it now with these glasses, it's night and day, man. It's night and day. I don't think I really realized how shitty my vision was. I didn't know, I didn't realize how good it could be. You know, like when I walk down the street, like I see people's faces, people across the street, I can see what they look like. I can read anything from anywhere. Like, I didn't really realize before, like, I guess I just thought that blurriness was normal. And now it turns out that even after a couple days of wearing the glasses, now I feel injured without them. Like if I'm not wearing these glasses, I just feel like I feel like oh fuck. It'd be as if I had a hand tied behind my back or something like that. I just feel the difference. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a full-time eyeglasses wearer. Glass wearer. And I'm not gonna get contact lenses because I don't like the idea of the shit touching my eyeball directly like that. That just kind of fucking. That gives me that feeling you get when somebody scratches on a chalkboard. Think about that right now. It gives me that feeling. So, it dramatically changes the way I look. And interestingly enough, maybe when I was younger, I would have thought like, oh, I look like a dork. I look like a dweeby geek. But now that I'm older, it's actually kind of amazing to look like a dweeby geek. Like, I don't know if this is just because I can see better and this was always the case and I just didn't realize it. But ever since I got these glasses, when I walk down the street, like people look at me more respectfully and smile. Girls smile at me, and like I think for some reason before, with my shaved head and just my face, I guess I have a creepy look. I look creepy, and some of you are probably saying no, but it's true. It's true. I look like a creep. And once I put the glasses on, it all goes away. The creepiness goes away, and people smile at me. I look super. What the fuck is it called? Non-threatening. I look very non-threatening. I think that I might even look intelligent, successful, and charming. Or just before everybody looked at me the same way, and because their faces were just fucking blurry nonsense, I didn't know what their expression they were making was. But I know that that's not the case. My vision wasn't so bad I couldn't tell. Faces didn't look completely blurry, and vibes that I got from people and energy that I got from people, I could feel and sense and see with my fucking shitty eyesight. You know what I mean? Now. It's a whole different wax. Now, as far as my career goes, if I'm doing videos and shit, I don't know. I'll have to see if it looks right for me, like when I'm actually in the act of rapping. You know what I mean? I guess I could start writing all my raps about the quadratic equation and the fucking periodic table of elements. I actually did have a rhyme about that before. I said that the Scrub Life koozie keeps the Heineken bottle cool. I'm number one like a hydrogen molecule. But I've never been able to fit that. And to catch up, you're going to need a lot of time and a lot of school. I don't know what y'all can have that. Y'all can have that one if you want it. I'm number one like a hydrogen molecule. Because it's the first one on the periodic table of elements. And ever since I got my glasses, I've been able to see the periodic table. The poster of the periodic table that hangs in my bedroom right next to my bed in a fucking heart-shaped frame. I can see the elements from far away. I can see the elements. I mean, if you took... I don't fucking know where I was going with that. But, yeah, I could start writing all my raps even nerdier than they already fucking are. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. We'll have to see how if I opt to change that look from an entertainment perspective, because you gotta kind of think about what you look like, when you're presenting your art form or whatever you're doing. Like, it is the entertainment business. You gotta kind of think about what you're looking like. But for walking around, for hanging out, for going to parties like I might be doing tonight. I don't know. I'm going to keep the glasses. And it's an ongoing experiment. Like I said, I've only been in them a week. But it's an ongoing experiment, and I think that I'm going to just continue to live it. I haven't been to places where it was like I don't think since I've had my glasses, I've been to like a big social function yet. We'll see how it is for the ladies, you know, see if I get less fucking walk away creepily ill. less of those, you know. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about me, dude. I don't have a face that people respect. Cuz I know people that do. You know, my manager, Brian Washington, like wherever he goes, he commands respect. And it's partially the way he dresses, partially his height, partially he's just a well put together motherfucker. And I don't know, I don't get that same respect, you know. But now that I got these glasses, I think I'll get a whole different type of respect and a different level of respect. So I'm pretty happy about it. But aside from all the shit about the way other people view me because of the glasses, what I'm excited about is the way that I can see really well. It's fantastic. It's fucking fantastic. Now, granted, it's still a little weird. Like when I don't know, like if I like look around, like if I'm looking at the ground, then I look up and I look like I'm outside, I'm looking far away and I see something to the left and something to the right. When I turn, like everything is kind of strangely warped. Like when I look at the ground, I look like I'm taller. Like there's a lot of things that I'm still not used to yet. It kind of like gives me a little headache and shit sometimes, but I think that's something I'll get used to. It's something I'll have to deal with. It's a hardship. It's a very difficult hardship. It's a rough patch in my life that I can get through. Okay? It's the most difficult thing any human being has ever gone through ever. Damn, I got a scratchy throat. Update. I've not quit drinking or smoking. I think I'm going to do another sobriety period coming up here soon. My birthday is this weekend. My birthday, and, you know, I have a twin brother, so it's his birthday too. Our birthday falls on Easter Sunday this year. Easter Sunday. So I'm going to San Diego this weekend, kicking it with the family. We're going to have a barbecue at my brother's house. Should be fun. And I think after that, when I get back to LA, I'm going to do another one of my sobriety stints. Maybe a short one, maybe like a 30 days rather than 100 days. But, you know, I think I need to do another cleansing pretty quick because, you know, in the studio, we have a workflow now. Me and Davey have a workflow where during the day, I've been working my ass off, y'all. I'm in the studio like fucking 14 hours every day. But during the day, 14, is that the right amount? I get here like noon, and then, yeah, usually get here like probably more like 1, and then leave at like 3 or 4. I got a nocturnal schedule now, y'all. I usually don't wake up till I wake up at around noon every day, and that's not because I'm super lazy. It's because I stay up really late. Because our workflows, when we get here, we bullshit for a second, get something to eat, and then we finish a bunch of stuff. We have like a list sort of deal, and we finish some stuff. I'm talking about songs and music wise. Then when it gets to be like 10 or 11, we go to the liquor store and we have a few drinks and we create stuff from scratch. And we kind of we have these cool lights now. We got those Philips Hue lights, and you can actually control the colors of all these light bulbs. There's 3 light bulbs. We're going to get a bunch of additional ones too, but there's 3 right now. And on an app on my phone, I can control the color of the light bulb. So we just fucking make a cool vibe in here and just have a couple drinks and start creating and partying and dancing, you know what I mean? And some good stuff has come of it for sure, and we're kind of in a groove. But that does mean I've been drinking most nights. And since Davey doesn't drink beer, what we do is we'll get like a bottle of something and a mixer. Like usually it's Maker's Mark and ginger ale. And I feel like drinking the liquor actually I think it has a little bit more of an effect on my body than the beer. You know, because it gets in there faster, and it definitely makes me feel a little bit more dehydrated and shit the next day and just rough. But on the flip side, every morning I have this new hangover cure where I have a gym membership now, and I haven't squibbity goo. Yes, I just wanted to scat real quick right there. That wasn't because I flubbed my words. I have a gym membership to a gym across the street. And recently, I haven't even been doing, like, full workouts. I'll just run in real quick and get on, like, a fucking treadmill or elliptical or something and just go for, like, 20 minutes and just or probably more like half an hour, and then just get like a really, really hard sweat. And I found that you fucking do that, then drink a bunch of water. The toxins and alcohol bullshit or whatever from the previous night leave your body, and it's replenished with H2O. And I think there's some endorphins and positive serotonin or whatever the fuck happens in your body that just kind of gives you that natural high, like runner's high or whatever they call it. And you leave there. You know, probably everybody in there is like, damn, this motherfucker is a bitch. Like, I'm in there for 15 minutes and shit and just leave. But I haven't been doing any full-on workouts. I actually have a gym membership as a hangover cure. Maybe I'll start working out more, but I'm definitely out of fucking shape right now. So I should. I might do another like 30-day health stint after my birthday. You know, people always say that. Right after my birthday, right after New Year's, right after the 4th of July, right after Thanksgiving. Gotta wait till Christmas. It's always an excuse, you know? Excuses are like... I never really thought, you know, the phrase, excuses are like assholes. Everybody has one. That's actually one of the only parts of your body, besides maybe... pretty much everybody does have an asshole. If you didn't have an asshole, you'd have to have a different way of waste being relieved. There'd have to be some kind of medical procedure where like they made waste to leave your body some other way. And even then, that's really just an artificial asshole. So you still would have one. But you can't, there's not really much else you can say. Maybe head. Everybody has a head. So excuses are like heads. Everyone has them, but it doesn't have the ring. Obviously, that a cuss word and a funny part of the body, the asshole, has. Not everybody has legs. Not everybody has arms. Not everybody has fingers. Not everybody has fucking kidneys. Well, I think you have to have one, right? Excuses are like at least one kidney. No, excuses are like a kidney. You got to have at least one. Some dumb shit like that. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I guess everybody really does have an asshole. Like, can you be, like, you know, you see people in wheelchairs that don't have legs, obviously. But can you be cut off at, like, the chest? Is that possible at all? Like, maybe not the chest, but, like, you're above your asshole. Like, if you were, your torso started at your belly button, and you just had that, maybe you still had arms, or arms or not, you know? Is that possible? I guess not, because there's vital organs below there, huh? Maybe you should call a doctor. What if I just called a doctor and asked him that? Be like, listen, doc, make sure it's like I have Kaiser Permanente health insurance. Yeah, I got health insurance, y'all, and that's pretty impressive. I spend too much on my health insurance. I'm going to have to look into a new company. But Kaiser Permanente has, like, their own facilities. So what if I went in there and showed them my insurance card and be like, what do you need? Like, I just got a question, doc. And he'd be like, what's going on? Is it what part of your body is in pain? Be like, no, I just had a hypothetical. Is it possible to not have an asshole? Yeah, I guess even so, it'd just be like an underside of your torso hole. There'd just be like a little, it would just look like a hole. It looked like a, you know, in an amp where you plug in the 1/4-inch cable. Look like you could plug a little headphone jack. It'd be looking like a headphone jack. It'd be interesting if it was a really skinny, like an 1/8 inch, like the standard headphone jack you had on your iPhone. And then your shit actually comes out looking more like like long brown spaghetti. Oh, that's a funny visual. An assholeless man that only has a torso down to his belly button. And on the underside, his fucking intestine, which I have no idea the circumference of an intestine anyway. But let's just say he had a rare disease where he was born like that, and with a small circumference intestine, and the intestine just stopped and then just exited his body like small brown spaghetti. Okay, on that note, we're gonna go to some questions and shout outs. Wow. I'm going to tell you something. Little secret. Little Waxes podcast. Inside secret. Yeah, and that was with my mouth. I know you thought that I just fucking sent that to a delay, but no, that was my amazing trickery with merely my mouth and a microphone. Usually, when I do this, when I open up my email that I put together with shout outs and emails for the podcast, usually I copy it, paste it into a text edit file, and then fucking make the font way bigger. And even without doing that, I could do this podcast from way across the room, and have no problem being able to see the fucking text that's on my screen right now. Anyway, shout outs. A lot of shout outs this week. Ryota. Athen M, who recommends Ronald Jenkins on YouTube. If you haven't seen Ronald Jenkins, Ronald Jenkins is a YouTube OG, son. But he's a keyboard player, producer, and he's dope. I haven't watched this shit in a long time, but he's a YouTube OG for sure. Edgar R. Brian from Arnold, Maryland. Chris from Maine. Becca G. Mike, the overworked security guard in the UK. We got EJP. We got Ricky from Atlanta, who recommends canned fruit and Kitty Pryde. Now, canned fruit, while that does sound like it would be an indie rock band, he's just talking literally about canned fruit. He's talking literally about like pineapples that come in a can full of fucking sweet syrup, which is probably the most unhealthy way you can possibly eat fruit, by the way, Ricky. However, I haven't been to high school in a long time, but in high school they would have canned fruit. In high school, I don't know what the fuck they have now, but when I was in high school, you got your tray, when you go to lunch, you got your tray, and it had a main plate. It might be a pizza and green beans or something like that. And then you go to the next little area, and they have these little paper cups. They're like paper, and the kind of paper that, like, if you unfolded it, it would be like just a circle, but it like a coffee filter, but not though. It's not like motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to you, everybody out there. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. But my favorite was when they had pears, a canned pear half. They used to have it's like a half a pear just in syrup, and I really love just thinking about it now, man. That'd be a good canned fruit would be a good mixer. A good, like, if you had rum and just like fucking canned pear fucking pulp with a little bit of the syrup that comes in canned pear. Damn, that's gonna be a good little tropical beverage. And Kitty Pryde, I don't know much about Kitty Pryde except for the video she has on speaking of recommendations, I might as well recommend this right now. Shout out to my boy Intuition. He has a podcast and a YouTube channel called Kinda Neat. And on that channel, like, if you haven't heard of that channel, you go there when you're bored, because there's tons of just one take performances that are awesome. And Kitty Pryde is one of the first ones, and I actually really liked. That's the only song of hers I know, but "I'll Be Spirited Away." It's interesting and it's unique, and I don't know. I thought that shit was fucking awesome. So yeah, check that out. I guess the song's called "Spirited Away." That's not what Ricky said. He's just saying that her in general is tight. But since that's one of her I know, and I agree with Ricky as far as that song goes. So go check that out and go to your local grocer and get a fucking can of fruit. Even though it's definitely the most unhealthy, sugary way to eat fruit. Nolan C. Trevor from Sacramento. We got my man Nate the Plate, who recommends The Herbalists. That is soundcloud.com/SOPOWEEZY. So the band is called The Herbalists. That's a hip-hop group. I don't know what the fuck Sopo-Weezy means, but sometimes people got little things to make it harder for the fan to find them. All right, we got Ed from Chicago. Man, Ed, congratulations, everybody out there. Congratulations to Ed. He has a brand new baby girl, Peyton Sayers-Nagel. Applause, cigars, champagne, etc. All for you, Ed, man. I'm proud of you, man. So do a good job as a father, I guess. Keep her away from the pole, as Chris Rock used to say. That's your one job as a dad, is to keep her off the pole. And if you'll know, and it's fucking as comedic as it may be, if you've ever talked to anybody that's a stripper, or if you've ever, not that I've met a lot, but I've met a few girls that are in the pornography industry, there ain't a single one of them that has a positive father figure. Maybe like 1 in 100. But porn is pretty much non-existent. The stripper, the 1 in 100 might have had a good dad. But, dude, yeah, they don't have father figures. Andres from Jersey and his band, Living in Time Machines. So go check out Living in Time Machines. Also, Andres, shout out to Andres' boy Tact. We got Elijah C. We got Joanna S. in Dublin, listening as always. Thanks, Joanna, for tuning in. Alphonse L., who recommends the Alabama Shakes, the Chaos, and Lupe's new album. Lupe Fiasco's new album, been recommended by a lot of people here on Wax's podcast. I thought it was good. I didn't really indulge in it as much as I should have. I only listened to that album through once, whereas I've been listening to a lot of music recently. I've been listening to Kendrick's album. I listened to the new Earl Sweatshirt album. I listened to the new Action Bronson album, which I really liked, and I listened to Ludacris's new album, which has really dope shit about it, and stuff that's about it. But I'd still recommend any one of those albums I just mentioned. Earl Sweatshirt, you got to be in the fucking. If you're an angst-ridden teen, I'd heavily recommend Earl Sweatshirt's album. For me, it's kind of tough. It's hard for me to relate to that kind of angst right now because Earl's Sweatshirt's a lot younger than me. But it's definitely unique. I'll tell you that. It's definitely a unique fucking album. But I liked. I love Kendrick's album. I think that shit's amazing, and I really liked Action Bronson's album. And I've listened to a lot of his stuff before, and I always thought he was funny. But sometimes it's like if you have a whole album and everything you say is based in a fantasy world, like that was weird to me at first. Like literally everything was a fantasy world. Like, he always talks about he does a double backflip out of a gold Lexus and lands fucking Brazilian girl doggy style. He has all this crazy shit. But now that I'm used to it, I actually fucking like it. I like that he's just like a fucking real life. He's a walking comic book character. I think it's awesome. I think musically I liked a lot of the fucking songs on there too. I think he's got good taste in beats and says interesting shit. So I'd recommend that. Biggest recommendation, a recommendation made by a lot of you guys that wrote in. beatsforwax@gmail.com, by the way, if you ever want to send any podcast emails. The biggest recommendation was to bring back Davey. A couple podcasts ago, I think it was episode 82, my boy Davey was on the program. We did a lot of musical shit, and people loved it. By far the best rated podcast I've done yet, so I'm definitely going to bring Davey back. He's actually out of town right now. He's in Hawaii. But yeah, we'll definitely do another one with Davey. I think that I want to do a podcast with me, Davey, and T-Rex. So keep your eyes open for that, or your ears open. Don't put fucking whatever. All right, we got one from Geoff. Geoff says, Philly cheesesteaks ain't shit, and people need to get over it. I can't believe we're still talking about this issue, but it's kind of interesting. That being said, all this sandwich talk got me hungry. So I went out to this great Cuban sandwich shop we have out here in Seattle, brought it home, and watched a movie I highly recommend. Chef. C-H-E-F. Streaming on Netflix now. Pretty simple but really good movie. Stars Jon Favreau and John Leguizamo going across the country in a food truck. I guess that's all. Just a recommendation this time. Fuck Philly cheesesteaks. Geoff. Well, thanks for your recommendation, Geoff. I actually haven't seen the movie Chef. I have a friend. He's not a good friend, but Roy Choi, who's like a celebrity chef now, who really kind of got the whole food truck thing in Los Angeles jumping with the Kogi trucks, which is fucking fantastic food. If you're ever in Los Angeles, or if you live in Los Angeles, please try to find like that. You can follow where these trucks are on Twitter. Kogi, Kogi, and it's kind of a fusion of Korean food and Mexican food, and it's fucking insane how good the food is. But yeah, Roy Choi started that shit, and he runs the line. I don't know if he owns it or manages it. There's this hotel now with a bunch of restaurants in it that Zoe DJs at, and Roy Choi runs the place. And Roy Choi's a huge hip hop fan, and I kind of know I wouldn't say I know him as a friend, but we say what's up when I come in there and shit. But proud of people like that. Really created his own lane and did his own thing, and he's a fucking artist. Like some of these chefs, man, are real fucking artists, dude, and Roy Choi is one of them. So I really should be seeing that movie because I heard he was in the motherfucker too. I think it might be loosely based on him. All right, Martin McG. Thanks, Geoff. What's your favorite animal? From Martin McG. And by the way, when I do these emails, I don't like think ahead of time what I'm gonna say, so I don't really have a favorite animal. So let me just think. What's my favorite animal? I mean, realistically, my favorite animal is a fucking dog. A dog is realistically my favorite animal. Because I know people with dogs. I've loved dogs before. I've loved dogs. I've cried when dogs died. I don't think there's another animal on earth that I've cried when they die. So I guess my favorite animal is a dog. That being said, favorite animal that's not domesticated is kind of a whole different thing. So I go with a tie between the Galapagos tortoise and the kangaroo. Because kangaroos, man, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, kangaroos, they can fuck you up. They have a fucking child in their little pocket that sticks its head out and says like, "Hey, what's up, y'all? Just riding with my moms. Just ride along with my moms till I can hop it. One day I'm gonna hop out this motherfucker. Don't make me hop out this motherfucker, y'all." That's fucking dumb. And Galapagos tortoise. First of all, if you go to the San Diego Zoo and go to the Galapagos tortoise exhibit, the fucking turtles are like 120 years old. They're like the longest living animals on Earth. 120, dog. Like they were born in the 1800s. Like that's fucking crazy. And they're still fucking. All they want to do is fuck. And if you've ever seen a Galapagos tortoise have sex, it's one of the funniest things to see. One will just get the one just gets on top of the other, and they look like they're that old. Like they'll thrust once every 5 seconds, and every time it thrusts, the one on top makes a noise. It's kind of like a cow. It just goes. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the kangaroo. I'm going to go with the Galapagos tortoise as a tie for the gold medal. Okay. So thanks for that question, Martin McG. And for my hilarious fucking visual of a little gangster-ass fucking kangaroo that's just like still can't really hop right. And it's just, you wait, motherfucker. You wait till I hop out this motherfucker. Not really that funny, but hey, whatever. Yo, Wax, it's Mark again from Chicago. First off, thank you so much for the girl advice and the recommendations for gin drinking. Fuck, man. I shouldn't recommend drinking at all. But if you're gonna drink, did I recommend gin drinking? I don't remember doing that. Whatever. Gin and tonic and lime is my shit now. It's not a bad beverage. Well, question for the podcast: who is your favorite guitarist, bassist, and drummer? Can you do like a top 3 for each? Also, can you send me some bass tabs for some of your songs? I can't find them anywhere. Dude, I don't have bass tabs for my songs, but most of them aren't that complicated. One day I'm going to hire somebody just to do tabs for my shit, because that's a question I get all the time is for tabs. Not bass tabs. That's an interesting one. I usually get that. But I can't find them anywhere. Thanks, Wax and Davey. I think that's his name. The dude you share the studio with is funny as hell. Peace. All right. 3 favorite guitar players. Well, Jimi Hendrix has to be one of them. B.B. King. And I got to go with Eric Krasno, man. Eric Krasno of Soul Live. He's actually a personal friend of mine, but when I was younger, when I first saw him play, I was like, man, I couldn't believe he could play like that. It was just amazing to me watching him play. I'm gonna go with Alan Evans on the drummer too as one of the top 3. Alan Evans is a Soul Live drummer. 3 top drummers. Who have I seen? Who's an amazing drummer? You know who I gotta go with, man? I gotta go with the fucking one-armed drummer from Def Leppard. I mean, dude, this fool was playing in the band, had 2 arms, got in I can't remember what the circumstances were, but it was a car accident or a motorcycle accident or a bus accident, some kind of automobile accident, and he fucking lost an arm. And this wasn't like this was like the band was popping, man. Like they already had hits. Like this was when they had Photograph, old Def Leppard references. I don't want your photograph. Na 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 no. Point is, they had joints. It was pre-Pour Some Sugar on Me era Def Leppard. I can't believe I know a good deal about Def Leppard. They're a pretty amazing band when it came to like glossy rock. Like they made these walls of sound, massive drums and tons of vocals. But the motherfucker lost his arm, and you would think that most people would be like, dudes, I got to quit the band. What am I gonna do? Play drums with one arm? And he did. He played drums with one arm, and it actually turned out to be, since he had to use the foot pedals for these snares that were kind of like just triggered snares, it actually ended up being a really cool signature sound that he had because of the one-armedness. So, I mean, you got to put him on the top 3 just for that. Other drummers. Man, I saw Sammy Davis Jr. playing drums on some old YouTube video, and that motherfucker was a beast. See, the best drummer is probably a guy that you never heard of. It's usually not gonna be like the drummer from blah blah blah, like some band. It's like a session guy. I'm gonna have to give. I'm gonna go keep going with the whole people I know thing. I'm gonna put my boy Cootie on there. Cootie Hodge is the next on the top 3 for my favorite drummers. He's a fucking beast. If you don't know who that is, I don't know. I guess follow him on Instagram. He plays drums on Instagram sometimes. I think it's just his name, Chakudi Hodge. CHUKWUDIHODGE. Chakudi Hodge. What's the language of origin? Actually, that would be an interesting question. I don't know. But, yeah, he's fucking dope. He played with me on the Warped Tour, played with me on the Wintervention Tour, and he's a good dude, too. Let's stick with that for bass players. My favorite bass player is my brother, Herbal T. My second favorite bass player is Kurt B. And my third favorite bass player is, those are the only dudes that played bass for me. Favorite bass player. I don't know, Bootsy Collins, Flea, Les Claypool from Primus. Who are like the old school bass players? I don't even know, man. I don't know much about bass players, to be honest with you. Jaco Pastorius. Anyway, thanks for the question. Who was that? The other question. Mark from Chicago. Thank you so much. All right, what's up, Wax? Listening to This is from EJP. What's up, Wax? Listening to podcast 82 with you and Davey. Love the intro, had me cracking up. Davey seems like a really down-to-earth and humble dude. You guys talked about your first song you did together, Pictures of You. That was. I don't know if that actually was the first. Maybe it was. So, of course, I had to stop the podcast and go watch the video again now. Just went and watched 5-6 of your videos. Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And yet again, people just loving Davey on the podcast. You don't want to. I don't even want to tell him how much people are loving him because he's gonna start feeling himself. Anyways, to the question: how hard was Summer Breeze to shoot? All one take, multiple people in that apartment, multiple people with camera time. I only really caught one small slip up. Breezy lifts the vodka up a little early. DFD killed his part. Talk us through how you did that music video if you can. The vibe it gives off is perfect for that song. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thanks, man. I like this shit you and Davey have been doing. That's what's up. Well, if you just in case you've never seen that video, hit pause. Well, not yet. Wait till I give you further instructions. We have a video called "Summer Breeze." It's a beat that EOM made. Actually, Davey played on that too, and a bunch of us rapped on it. Me, Dumb, my brother, EOM, and Breezy, and we made a video that was just like in my friend's apartment, where AK is actually shooting it, and he comes in to the apartment, and we just do this cool one take where it kind of flows kind of naturally. And we didn't have any plan for what we were gonna do. We just knew we were gonna shoot it there and make it like a bar, like we were gonna do like a barbecue thing. And we thought we knew we were gonna do a one take. So once we all got there, we really just mapped it out. And it's kind of cool at the end. Like I grabbed the camera and then you see AK, which is kind of cool because he actually fucking has like a little freestyle at the end. And it probably took us like a dozen tries. I think it was probably like 12 tries it took us. But yeah, we just got there and we kind of mapped it out. We put everybody into we kind of thought of where everybody could be. And yeah, I thought it turned out awesome. I really like that video. I like one take videos like that. I also respect when people make something dope that doesn't cost any money. I respect that. Like that video, we didn't get there's no lights, there's no fucking crew, you know what I mean? All the cast was just us and our friends. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. There's not really much to break down there. It's just, I guess, it's just, you know, we just thought of it. You know, it was mostly AK. It was mostly AK who kind of just mapped it out. All right, we got one more question. What is this? Phil S. This looks like there's another question. It might be another. What? Yo, Wax. This is from Phil S. Yo, Wax, longtime fan, finally writing in. As bad as you are with recording the podcast, I was worse with listening to them. I moved to the Valley a few months ago, and now I'm working a boring desk job down in Pasadena, and the commutes have finally given me time to catch up on your podcasts. Last week's podcast, actually more like 3 weeks ago, with Davey was pretty amazing. This motherfucker would be gassed up if he heard this podcast. I was actually so entertained that I missed my exit when driving home, but I didn't mind. You have guests on the show. You should have guests on the show as often as you can, or at least a call someone and fuck with them interview segment. Yeah, I used to do that every episode. I'm failing. I'm lazy, and B, it's like how much time, like it's not easy to get people to like fucking drive out here and be in the shit, but I guess I used to just call people at random. I don't have that many people I know. But even if you don't, it's really cool how you keep the fans updated with your random thoughts via the podcast. Thanks for not giving up on it. This was probably written before I had the 2 weeks off in a row. On the topic of guests, you should really do a longer interview with Acumental and or Terminal K of the Palmer Squares. I would love to have them on the podcast. That would be awesome. Because those dudes are funny as shit. I would love to have the Palmer Squares on the podcast. I gotta make a note of that. Anyway, my question for this podcast is, what's the story behind? This is more like questions about me shit. What's the story? So what? That's okay. It's okay. What's the story behind your EP Biatch? Mainly, where can we get it? But also, any information about it would be great. That was recorded before you came to California, right? Biatch. Yeah, that was recorded a while ago. Like the funny thing about that album is it's like 7 songs, I think. When I was I don't know what year this was. It was probably recorded in like the year 2000. And I got a fucking Guitar Center credit card. And I got myself this beat machine. I was like determined to start making beats. And this big purple thing called the Emu MP7. And it definitely wasn't the right thing that I should have got. I should have got some computer type shit, but you know, I just wanted to have something. And I knew like if I dropped money on it, which I really didn't. I just put myself in debt for it. I knew that I would use it. I would use it anyway, but I knew that I would take the time to really learn to use it. So, you know, like the funny thing about that Biatch EP or whatever you want to call it is like it's like 7 songs, and it's really just like the first. I might have made 10 beats on there before I had songs to those beats. I made a fuck ton of beats on there, but I probably should have waited to record that album before I made more beats. They aren't the greatest beats in the world. To tell you the honest truth, on my computer or on a compact disc or on my other computer, I don't even have that shit. Like, I don't even know. I'm not even sure how I would access that music right now. But I know that some of the shit is on YouTube. I know that some of the songs are on YouTube. Songs were let me count. I think it was 7 of them. It might have been 6, but there was a song called Pick It Up. There was a song called Hey You. There was a song called I Rap Better Than You. There was a song called Collapsin'. There was a song called Sex Joint. There was the last one was called which is definitely the best one on there. It was called One Take in the Basement. And that was kind of more like the bonus, like, freestyle type joint. That's probably the best one on there. There's some hard lines on there. Was there another one? There had to have been another one. Yeah, the one with me and my brother, which was called Breathe Deep. It's called Breathe Deep. So that was all of them. So if you want to YouTube those, you can find the fucking awful music I was making in the year 2000. I think it came out in 2001. I'm almost positive it came out in 2001. When I say it, quote unquote, came out, I mean, like, I burned like 100 copies of it and, like, would sell it at my shows. For my band had shows, and we actually tried to make real albums. Not that we had a lot of fans, but I would just burn them myself and sell them for $5 at shows, which was cool because it was a little bit of extra cash. And I had to go back and listen to that myself. But my style was real, like, it was real, like, animated, like, funk rap guy, and it was interesting. You know, I had a long way to go. I didn't know what I was doing yet. But that being said, even by then I was into the whole, like, when you rap, you make a bunch of syllables rhyme type of thing. And if you listen to the One Take in the Basement, I had a couple bars in there. I got some clever shit in there. It's weird, like, sometimes when you're like when you're like anywhere between like 17 and 23, often you think your music is better than it is. That's the prime age for thinking shit is good because you did it. You know, I think we talked about this on a podcast before. It's one of the most important things you learn in music, and some people never learn it, and some people don't need to learn it because they're just so fucking good at what they do. Cats like Kanye and shit. I'm not saying everything Kanye does is perfect, but, you know, if you think, like, it's tough as a musician or as an artist in general to not kind of, like, think your own shit is hot just because it's your own shit. Like, I think of stuff we did, and, like, I remember giving demos to artists I respected at shows, and, like, looking back at the demos now, like, when they listen to them, they're probably like, oh, it's some bullshit. And don't get me wrong, I get demos all the time at my shows, and of course there's some that are great, but shout out to fucking Pharrell M. His shit was actually super dope, and it was especially dope because 99%, 90% of the time when you get a demo from somebody at a show, it's like half the time it's from a fan, half the time it's from the opening act or somebody who knows the opening act or something. 90% of the time it's not very good. So it's a pleasure to come on one that's even good at all, much less really good. And yeah, what was my point? Oh yeah, so I remember I definitely at that time would have been in the category of, like, people who gave their CD to people when they weren't ready to be giving the CDs to people yet. You know, the people probably heard it and was like, this shit is garbage. But, you know, go ahead and listen to it. Let me know what you think. You know, there's certainly merits in it. You know, I certainly had, like, at least slight talent. Interesting thing about that album is I didn't know shit about audio engineering, so I thought I went in at that time. Yeah, I had to pay for the studio time. Like I'd go to a fucking commercial studio and you'd pay by the hour. And when I got there with my beat machine, I thought that I could just like plug the shit in, and somehow it would magically separate all the tracks, and the engineer there could help mix it and like do it, like not even help, just mix it himself. And it turns out that with my particular machine, that was not a functionality it had, and you had to do everything inside the box. So I kind of it definitely, the mixing is whack, and pretty much every single instrument on every single track is panned directly in the middle. So yeah, if you're not a musician, panning is like when something, like when you hear something in, like say you're listening in headphones and then like somebody's voice comes at you from the right, and then then a guitar comes at you from the left. You know, that's panning, is like where in the left to right range is your shit. And a really, really whack thing to do is to put every instrument directly in the middle. It'll just sound thin, and I'm pretty sure that I did that on that album. Yeah, so who was there more? Oh yeah. Also, I really like Wax's suggestions and also fan suggestions, so I figured I'd contribute too. I'll recommend the Organized Threat Collective. Two of the hip-hop artists in particular, Gavlin and Papa J. Ruiz. Check them out and let me know what you think. Well, I think I've seen like one or two things with Gavlin. I think she did the same thing I was talking about with Intuition before, but I don't really remember it. I get things confused. But that was from Phil S. And he says to shout out him and his girl KDM. So I appreciate everybody this week for writing stuff in and all that good shit. And I think that's it, y'all. Be safe out there.